Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So in this video we're going to continue with the die filer build. So one of the problems with a die filer is when you're actually filing a piece of work, as the file moves in the upward direction it can drag the work up with it away from the work table. So we're going to look at a means of constraining the workpiece. So I hope you enjoy the video. Do share your thoughts in the comments, it's always much appreciated. So one of the things when you're working with a die filer is, if you're filing a piece of work, say like this, and you're putting on quite a bit of pressure, as the file moves up, it can drag the work with it. So it's a good idea to have something to hold it down, but still allow it to be moved. So I was thinking of something to attach to the table, but then I decided I just didn't want anything on the table. Just want to keep the table clear. So that would mean bringing something down from the top, which would attach to this accessory post. So I'm not really 100% sure where I'm going with this at the moment. I've made this bracket that clamps to the post. I made a collar, so the idea is the collar can go on and then that can just sit on it so you can adjust it without having to hold it up or anything. So anyway, so that would clamp onto there. My original idea was to have something that would fit into here and come up against the file and support the file, and then have something that would clamp around here and support some bars or something to hold the work down. I'm kind of changing my mind as I go, so I've decided I will use this bracket for the file support. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet exactly, and I'll put a separate block on for holding the work down. So I found this block lying around. It's not very square at the moment, but anyway, so it can either go underneath or on top, I don't know. So I just need to machine that to fit under there, and then maybe have a couple of bars come out, maybe at an angle, I'm not sure, and then some bars to come down, something like that, but we'll see how we get on with it as we go. I tend to change my mind as I see things materialise and as I see how they turn out after machining. The first thing to do is to square this up, put a hole in, put a slot in so that it will clamp to the post. So I've got me positioned for a 24mm hole to fit the column or the post. Got a centre line on there which will be the position for a 6mm clamping bolt coming from the side. So I was thinking of putting some holes in the front to put some round bar in other words have two round bars coming out to provide support for some kind of mechanism to hold down the work. But on the other hand, I've come across some 316 stainless square bar which I've had for absolutely ages, which I could use. In other words, put a slot in the side, slot that in, and that would come out like that. Now this is a bit big, so I'll reduce this down to 16mm square or 5/8 square. I think would be imperial for a little bit, so 5/8 square. And we need to broaden the distance at the around the file, so we'll come in at an angle. So I think if I can find my protractor, which I've literally just had. This is a mess. There it is. probably come in at 10 degrees. So the bottom of the slot would be there, 5/8 wide, be about there. So that would come off, and also about there. Remove that on both sides, so the bolt will go in there. So we'll put in a slot in here, and to keep this flexible, I think we'll put a radius in here. That's a radius cutter, but it'll still do the job. I think that looks pretty good. So it's probably going to be about there. Yeah, I think that looks good. So I've just put in a 22.5mm hole, which will open out to 24mm later on. Found a more suitable cutter for putting in that radius, and the vise in the mill is already configured for doing that, so rather than change the setup, I'll do that job first. Then afterwards I'll put a slot through here, which will require the vise to be repositioned. So the finish isn't fantastic, but the cutter itself isn't in great condition anyway, but that'll clean up okay. Take a coat of paint, just take the rags off. This file's blunt. So the slot should be 125 thou wide, so 135, 136 and a half, so we'll say it's 11-12 thou oversize, so it's opened up quite a bit. So if I had bored this out to size before slitting it, it would be oversized on the shaft or on the column, so that's why I split it first. So now we need to finish the bow. But before I do that, I think I'll take out these areas here, each side. So it's looking good. It feels a bit smoother than it actually looks. So we can just put some packing in. So this is 1/8 of an inch plus 12 thou. It's a little bit tight. See how it fits. Perfect. It's grand. So I'm busy resetting the workpiece and the cutter. Cutter's okay. It looks like as it broke through the end here, it took up the backlash on the table, which meant the tooth took a massive cut and stalled and moved the workpiece slightly. Anyway, we'll bash on, take lighter cuts. That's just not working. Okay, so the main problem really, I was feeding in the wrong direction, so that as the cutter broke through, it grabbed the workpiece at the bottom here, took up the backlash in the lead screw and tried to take a bigger cut, and then that moved the workpiece and so on. So a bit of a rookie mistake. So if I had been feeding in the opposite direction, probably we wouldn't have had the problem. But in any case, I've added more security. So we're now on clamping down on wet and dry sandpaper, give it a bit more grip. Got a clamp up against the workpiece to help prevent it moving. And that is further supported by the packing piece, which is up against that clamp. The packing piece being for the upper clamp. And now we've got 3 clamps instead of 2, so it should be good. So I'm going to take a bit of a risk and do a nice big cut. see how we get on. Okay, that's that face finished. We'll put the slot in. So the finish top and bottom isn't brilliant, so I'll take a few thou, finish and cut, call it a day. Okay, that's much better. So that's it in place. I've drilled it and tapped it for a clamping bolt. And I've also drilled and tapped it for some clamping grub screws. So when I'm squaring up material, I use a bit of half round brass to go in between the moving jaw and the work, and then that just guarantees that the work's pushed up against the back jaw, which is my reference for squareness. Okay, so that's the bars reduced to 5/8 square or 16mm. So the great thing about the shaper is that when the workpiece comes off the machine, the finish is absolutely beautiful. And even though this was quite a coarse feed, 15 thou feed, there's no need or any desire to polish out the machining marks. Whereas if this had been milled, it would be likely that I would want to polish out the machining marks. So they just look great the way they are, so we'll just leave them. So it's time to put a hole in for a vertical bar. So these bars will be up here somewhere, and we'll need to put a vertical bar down to come again up against the workpiece. So I'm going to put a 10mm hole in here for 10mm bars, and then we put a bolt hole in and slit it and put a bolt in to clamp the bar in place. So I've got a bit of 5/8 bar in the chuck on a drilling machine. So we'll just clamp that in the vise, lock the vise down, okay, release the chuck. Okay, so now when I put the bar in, it should be in centre. Got a polystyrene, keep the backing in place. I'll hang it up. Keep lots of pressure on for stainless steel. Make sure it cuts. So that's what it looks like. So I've been quite lucky. These bars are 5/8 square, and I cut the slot with a 5/8 end mill, but I did take a 10 thou finishing cut top and bottom, so this should have been 20 thou over size, but it's actually just a nice perfect fit in there. So when I've checked the cutter is actually 20 thou under size. So it's either been resharpened in the past before I got it, or it's been ground up for a specific job. But anyway, that was a bit of luck, because it makes them a lovely fit. I made this rod with a foot to fit into these arms, and I've also got a PTFE pad on the bottom to protect the workpiece. So that fits in there like that. Clamps down with the grip screws. And another one on the other side. So if you've got a workpiece you're filing, you can put these on. So when the file comes up, as the file moves up, it'll prevent the work being dragged up. So I'm thinking maybe I should have made these longer. But anyway, we'll see how we get on with it. I can always make changes in the future. But I think it's looking pretty good. So I rounded off the end of these bars or these arms. So all these other parts, they all need finishing off. They need corners radiused, bit of profiling, make them look a bit better. So that's all something that I'll do on the final assembly. So as I build it up, I'll clean up all these parts and just improve them quite a bit.